Oh, it's separating for some reason.
Trying to get these things to go flat with some small things. Okay. I think we good. I think we good. That's flash carrot.
Why is it separating there in the middle like that?
I got this one. This is too low. I got gloves on. Let's play. Let's see. Got some fire. Sticky icky. Goofy. Goofy. Oh, here we go. Yeah, wait for what's going on here. This is supposed to be non-stick. Why are we doing this? Why is it doing this anymore? There's a thickness in this glove like that. Okay, in my head, what I'm thinking is if I mix the gold paper with this, it's not going to be gold enough. But, shit, that's what I'm going to do. Heat that up and put that on in it right there.
Do 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 do
Like that. Oh,
do
this
do
is
do
gold.
do do do.
Some pieces. Yeah, we got something gold here. Take this and put it on here. And cut it off. Some of that off. Take some of that off. So I'm just gonna take my tool and flatten it out a little bit. Get rid of some of that excess I got going on there. And then I decided to put some little cuts in there. I don't know, for some reason, for some kind of dimension or something. You know? Why not? And let me cut another little piece off. I think I'm gonna do a couple of them. I really don't have a plan. Set that on there, same thing, flatten it out. Get some more
Did too
cuts in
much.
there too. There's a lot of them. Right here. And I think one more at the tip. I look good. I'm gonna take a couple of stones and put inside the little cuts. I don't want to cover up too much of that. And then this index.
So this was a bit of a random nail set, and it was definitely unplanned for, but I wanted to combine some different ideas from Pinterest into thick. I do like to use a bit more gel towards the tip of my natural nail, just to make sure that I'm filling in that apex. And once it's placed down nicely, I'm going to go ahead and cure that using my portable lamp. So now that these tips are on, we're gonna jump straight into shaping these. And the first thing I'm gonna do is just cut them down using some tip cutters. So now that I have my desired length, it's time to seal the cuticles. Now, there are different methods that people use for gel extensions, and I've been using this specific method recently as it is a bit easier for me, honestly, but it also means that the cuticle area doesn't really look that good. So I like to take this time to blend the nail tip into my cuticle area using a ceramic bit, and I'm not going overboard here. I just want to remove the ledge and any possible flooding. And with that being said, I'm using a pretty low speed of about 5,000 to 6,000 RPMs. And if you happen to have any major flooding, do make sure to pull the skin around the nail back first and then go in with your filing tool, just to make sure that you aren't accidentally cutting your skin in the process. After getting the cuticles nice and sealed, I'm going to sharpen up the general shape of these nails using my 80/80 grit nail file. Of course, 80/80 grit may be a little bit abrasive for some, so any file that you have can work here. And while I'm here, I'm going to file the sides in a bit for a cleaner and more angular square look. Personally, I find that these nail tips are kind of round, and personally, I don't really like that, so I try and make sure that everything is a little bit more angular. Lastly, I'm going to buff the nails to prep them for the nail art process. I'm pretty vigorous here, honestly, as I don't want the nail polish to peel, so I make sure to get every single last nook and cranny as best as possible. And that is going to close up our extension process. Okay, so now we're finally onto the nail art, and the first thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and mix out all of my colors. As you guys know, I do use a lot of different nail polish colors, but honestly, most of these can be achieved by just mixing whatever you have and making that work. So with that being said, you don't need to go out of pocket and like buy a whole bunch of gels that you probably won't use. Just focus on getting better at mixing colors to achieve the desired look. But anyways, I'm going to be using pretty much all of the colors of the rainbow, especially for that infrared nail. But other than that, most of the colors in this nail set are going to be kind of muted. So here is what the color palette is looking like. So before we do anything, I'm going to go ahead and wipe off my nails with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol just to remove any excess dust. So the first thing I'm going to do is just work on the base of all of these nails, and I'm just going to start out on my pointer finger and my middle finger at the same time. So my pointer finger is going to be completely painted using this black gel polish from Beetles, and honestly, if you have a more opaque black, definitely go with that. I'm running a little bit low on mine, so I just substituted for Beetles, but if you are using something a little bit more opaque, you can definitely get away with only doing one coat. I'm going to be doing 2 coats for both of these colors, and for my middle finger, I'm actually going to be using a builder gel, but I'm going to try and use it as a gel polish because I'm really just looking for the nice nude base color and not so much the thickness. And again, I'm doing both of those colors in 2 layers. Sure to get that on there as best as possible. And as you can see, it's super easy for me to get rid of the excess chrome because I definitely do recommend it. I know that some people have recommended me trying this method with top coat instead, but personally, because I do have to go over the nail again. So after I've got that black gel polish on, I'm going to go in with a single layer of top coat just to finish off this nail.
Grammarly is basically like an AI writing partner, and you can also set brand tones to help ensure that your team's communication aligns with your brand. And this is specifically talking about the kind of tone of your writing and how it comes across, whether or not you want it to be formal or informal or extra kind of engaging, or however you want your writing to feel, you know, which is kind of difficult to organize and coordinate across many different team members. Brand tones can really help with that, with practically no friction to the team at all. So try it out and join the 70,000 plus teams that are using Grammarly.
Oh. Go over there. Go over there. Curve like that. Thank you. Smoosh it. Okay. Was that frame for that? I don't know.
So we are now on to the last nail in this nail set, and we're going to be pulling out our airbrush tool. I'm going to be airbrushing the center of my thumbnail using this light green color. And honestly, I was having a bit of trouble trying to get the colors to look exactly the way that I was going for. And I think I'm still kind of learning how to use the airbrush properly. So this was definitely a bit of a time-consuming process, just getting the colors to look the way I wanted and making sure that everything was nice and centered. So after I've got that green on, I'm going to wipe down the sides of this nail and cure that for about 30 seconds.
I'm gonna make this one go from here
Now, because I already showed the map process from earlier, I just went ahead and skipped that process, and we're gonna go straight into the chrome isolation. Now, this nail's kind of interesting. It kind of looks like a cursive E in the center of the snail, so that is what I'm doing here. Now, this nail's a little bit more abstract, so you don't have to do exactly what I'm doing here. Honestly, feel free to take whatever liberties you want with this nail set, because I just think it's one of those nail sets where you can kind of just do whatever you want. But anyways, I'm gonna be using this very thick sheer black gel polish. Again, I did mix in a little bit of rhinestone glue just to give me that added depth, and I'm using a long liner brush to help me achieve this chrome isolation. And once that's done, I'm going to cure that for about 15 to 20 seconds. And of course, I'm going to top that with the same chrome powder from earlier. And to close off this nail, I'm going to go in with a single layer of top coat. Okay, so here's what these nails are looking like once everything is done, and I just love how like abstract and kind of grungy they are, and I really think that overall it turned out a lot better than I was expecting. To finish off this nail set, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of cuticle oil. And that completes today's set. I really do hope you guys enjoyed this one. Again, as I said like 5 seconds ago, this nail set turned out a lot better than I thought it would, simply because my inspiration came from 5 different short nails, and I was a little bit nervous about how it would look when I changed the length of these nails. But honestly, I love it so much, and it's just very different for me. It's outside of my personal taste, but I love experimenting with different aesthetics and different styles. So you guys let me know what you think of this one in the comments. I would say that my absolute favorite nail is definitely the infrared nail in the middle finger, and I think I'd have to give honorable mentions to my pinky nail. Again, recently, I don't know what it is, but my pinky nails have like been my favorites, which is kind of weird because I feel like my pinky's always kind of awkward, and you know, I don't know, but yeah, I do think that again, I should have made the blue on the ring finger a little bit more blue, because as you can see, it's showing up a little bit gray, which isn't too bad, but I did want to do the blue because I have a lot of black in this nail set in monochromatic tones. So if you do end up recreating this nail set, that is something that you might want to change about it. But other than that, I really do think that this is a very, very cool and just like fun nail set. I really had fun doing this, and it's a little bit more on the simple side from what I've been doing recently, which I say that very lightly because you guys will let me know in the comments if this is actually simple or not. I think if I were to put this nail set on a scale of 1 to 10, I would definitely give this a good 9 out of 10, because again, the ring finger is a little bit weird. I wish it was a different color, but other than that, I love it. I really do. But that is all that I have for you guys today. As always, I want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in today, and I will see you guys in the next one.
Worked hard to cross that finish line. Now it's time to celebrate those memories. At Michaels, we help you preserve your keepsakes with custom framing that brings your victory to life. Because every achievement deserves to be beautifully remembered. Michaels, frame your victory.
I actually want this to be a little longer. Oh my god. Put that on. Put that.
Name's Fran, I guess, I think. And they make really cute art, and I got inspiration from this little image here, Strawberry Milk, for this nail. I want to use on this nail my Divock Cherry Blossom Petal Collection gel. Here is going to be a kind of like clear stamp almost. I've done the technique myself.
Ooh.
I have a little tutorial of it on my Instagram. Here's one from Ashop on IG who did a similar thing. It's just where you take like clear clay and you press it in and make a little indent, and then you decorate it with gems and stuff like that. So that's what I want to do on the thumbnail. I want to do like some plaid with a background of magnetic gels. Here I wanted to do like an ombre, a clear to pink ombre with maybe like a bow and a strawberry. Here I was thinking I could do like one of those stamp designs. I know that stamp nails are becoming really popular, not like nail stamping, but depicting like an actual stamp. So I'm going to take a little sticker and paint the background and do it over a plaid background. And then here I thought maybe I would do with some of the like Jello zigzag gel, one of those cute little 3D hearts just with some drawn backgrounds. The little like doodles I've done on nails before, but I really liked the way that these looked here with the little circle. That's from Nail Boon on Instagram. She's a Korean nail artist. Down here, my Mofusan inspo is from Cuckoo Nails. I love this lemon set, it's so cute. Very simple, but very classy. Here's another just kind of like general vibes inspo that I was going off of, which is Tomatoes Nails. I follow her as well, and she makes the cutest designs, like very much bright, pastel, summery, kawaii type nail set. So I wanted to kind of like channel that inspo for this set. This is from My Gothic. They did a recent tutorial on cherries, and I love this look of like transparent jelly looking cherries, and I thought I could translate that onto this hand here as like a strawberry, like a jelly strawberry. I have these lace stickers that I wanted to use here, and of course my little Mofusan here. I want to do like one of those ink bows on the pinky finger. Some more cat eye gel. I want to use my Mayo Eros collection cat eye gels because they do not get enough love, and they're some of my favorites. This here's just an image from Susie XXI on Instagram. She did a recent set that was super cute. It was like dessert themed, but she had referenced this nail here. And unfortunately, I don't know who the original artist is. I don't know if she tagged them or not. I couldn't find it. So I wanted to kind of reference the plaid design from that nail for this one over here with that like jelly look with the painted lines. Same here. I was going for like sparkly layered plaid designs. And of course, TPO free. More thoughts on that in the tutorial. For top coat, I'm using my tried and true Zombie Top Gel. And then here's my hack for stickers. Use a transfer foil gel when sticking the stickers on. You do need some type of rhinestone glue. I'm just using the Ivy Fix gel. And then I will be doing some colored pencil art, so I'm using the Ginny Mayo Yummy Matte Gel, although this part is a little unnecessary. The Divock Milkis is a great base color. And then I will also be using the Divock Vanta White for painting on some elements. It's a really nice white cream. For For inks, I'll be using the Doughy Marbly White color and the color Baby Pink from the Favori, one of the Muse collections. And here's one of the special gels I'm trying out today. This is Arty Gel in Cherry, and it is a new product. This is DG24, and it is that gorgeous cherry blossom glitter that I was talking about. This is YMB07 from the Butter collection, and then MM08 from the My Gothic Sparkling set. This is a super glittery cat eye. For another variation of cat eye, this is MM11 from the Mayo Arrow set. And then I did use a number of kind of like basic syrup pinks. This is YMB03 from the Butter collection from Yoga Mayo. This is from the Yogurt Gel Gelato collection. It is number 23. And then also from the Butter collection, I used the light blue, which is YMB05. And of course, for all of the hand-painted details, I'm using my MPA art palette. I love this thing. It just has such a great variety of colors, and as long as you store it right, you shouldn't have any issues with it drying out or curing. And of course, for the 3D elements, I will be using my favorite clays, the Chrysania Neri White and Red, along with her super clear 3D clay. This is going to be for that thumbnail. I'm just blown away every time by how clear it is. And here's that Arty Gel that I'm super excited to show you all. Everything will be linked down below along with any discount code, but let's get into the actual tutorial. So I'm starting off with my tips prepped, and then for a little decoration, I pulled out my Kirby figurine just because I thought he was very fitting for the design. Now this is a new base gel. Again, it's from Lioba, and it should be new to Sweetie Nail Supply as well. It is the Zero Base and Overlay, and it is both HEMA free and TPO free. I need to do some more research before I really say anything, but I believe TPO is a newer irritant potentially that is something to maybe look out for. But I really liked the consistency of this base gel. It was nice and thin, which I personally like for my press-ons because I really only use it to smooth out the surface of like sanded or prepped nails. That way I have like a nice smooth surface to work on, but I'm not adding a lot of bulk. And time for my very important announcement and reminder. Please make sure that you are protecting yourself if you are doing nails at home. Do your research, understand what chemicals are going to potentially be irritants. Wear gloves if you can to protect your hands if you're doing press-ons. And if you are doing gel X on yourself, just make sure that you're not rushing to avoid contact as much as possible with your skin and uncured gel, cleansing afterwards as necessary. We all just want to make sure that we can enjoy this hobby for a long time. So here I'm just finishing with all of the base coating, and then I'm going to stick these nails into my lamp for a full cure of those base coats. It feels kind of weird doing this voiceover, honestly, because it's been some time since I've done a nail art tutorial, but I'm super glad that this is the one that I am back for, even if it did take much longer than I thought and this upload is a day late. I ultimately had a lot of fun doing the set. I feel very accomplished afterwards, and it feels good to get back into nail art. So here I'm laying down a couple layers. I think I did 3 of Milkus on the thumbnail. I wanted this to be like a sheer white base with a pink ombre. So I am cleansing the sticky surface, and then I'm going in with the mushroom sponges from Diami. Now I don't have the Diami gradient gels because I ordered the YHH palette from Amy's clients. It's currently still in the mail. It got delayed a little bit, so I am going to attempt the ombre and whatnot with the painting gels from MPA. Now that's not what they're meant for in recent like favorites posts that I did, but it's just a really nice kind of like between glittery and glowy cat eye. I paint this on in quite a thick layer because honestly cat eye looks best if you do use thicker layers. And then I just use a barred magnet to create the velvet effect, bringing all of those particles to the center. You can achieve this with both a bar and a circle magnet. You just want to run it around the edges, all of the edges. Don't go too close to the nail. You want to keep a little bit of a distance until you get that nice shine. And then for the pinky finger, I completely deviated when I was doing this set from my original plan and instead went in with that baby pink ink. And I decided to do kind of like a more painterly plaid nail, I just take that ink and I start painting streaks right on top of that base layer that's been wiped down. I just concentrated the ink on some of those lines to create that plaid design. You want to try to not go over the same spot too many times or you risk the bottom layer being disturbed, so you want to just use a really light touch with this. And then I'm going in with the doughy marbly white, making sure to shake this up really well. All of your inks you want to make sure to shake before using. And I'm just doing a loose outline of a bow. Once again, using a really light touch, and if I do go over it a second time, I wait until that bottom layer is dry. Otherwise, you can disturb the ink and kind of like wipe it away with the new layer. The middle finger is going to be another clear ombre with that center aura. I thought I had wanted it to be white because I was going to use that new Arty gel in the pink color to do like a pink center, but I tested it out a little bit. It didn't ombre very well, and so instead of leaving it stark white, I did go in with the pink color from earlier, but I toned it a little bit with more of like a reddish pink because I wanted just a different pink tone from the thumbnail, and I added that on top of the white color. Again, just really making sure that I have very, very little product on the sponge before going in to do the ombre. I work in really thin layers, carrying in between. That's going to get you the best results. And then for the ring finger, I'm going in with the Yogo Mayo Butter Collection pink and just doing a couple layers so that I can have a nice base. And then the pinky finger is also just going to be a couple layers of, this time, the Yogurt Nail Korea 23. Just have a little variety in the pinks. Because each nail is a different design, I wanted them all to be kind of like a different shade of pink as well. And I fully cure that, and we are off to 3D nail art. So because I had done those ombres, I just wanted to preserve them and make sure that if I made any mistakes that I could easily wipe them away. So I did go ahead and do a really thin layer of the base coat on top of the ombre, just as a protective layer. And then I go in with the Yogo Mayo number 7 from the Butter Collection, and I use this to make cute little strawberries on the middle finger. I thought this really deep jelly red would be a really nice contrast with the white ombre. And the little fuzzy particles, I don't know, I love them. I think is just a little bit more pigmented, and this one was having a little bit of trouble covering up the red stripes underneath. But I do go in with the Divock Vanta White to just kind of like smooth over the surface and get a really nice opaque layer. And that worked pretty well. Before curing that layer, I go in with the dotting tool and the Vanta White, and I just do little dots along the edges. This gives it that stamp look. I know technically a stamp has a reverse edge, so it's got like circles cut out of it, but I figured this is good enough without me having to go in and like hand paint all of those edges. I just think it's such a cute concept, and it was relatively easy to achieve with the dotting tool. Now I'm taking the deep kind of like reddish pink color from the Peach Collection, and I'm creating another plaid design, this time over the pointer finger. This one was inspired by that design that Susie XXI had used in her recent tutorial, the sort of like jelly plaid with the white outlines. So I'm just going in and I'm painting on pretty thick stripes. Since they are thicker, I'm letting the polish pull towards the center. And then I'm using my super skinny Diomi long liner brush, and I'm taking that white liner gel and I'm just doing uber thin lines over those stripes, making sure that my brush doesn't have too much gel on it, otherwise you're not going to get the thinnest line. So I'm just making sure that it's nice and loaded properly. And then I go in and I paint those lines. I personally like to start from the center, that way I know that my line is going to be straight all the way through. And I'm just curing them as I go to make sure that I preserve the ones I'm happy with. And then using the same exact process, I'm just going in and doing the vertical lines over the lines that I had previously painted. This gives a cool layered effect because that jelly polish goes over the white, and you can tell that it's sitting on top of it. And then just for a little bit of extra detailing, I go in with a few more white lines, not on top of the stripes this time, separate from them. And I felt this just helps fill in some of that space. Now on to the super fun part. So these are the arty gels. I mentioned them before, and you might have seen the effect in my intro, but they are a bloom gel is what they're calling it. They are temperature sensitive gels that are clear or like a milky white in warm temperatures, and then they are colored when you get them cold. So it comes with a swatch card and the little like glass swatches, and there are 3 colors currently. They are in a pink color, an orange color, and a cherry red color. I mainly focused on the cherry red for this design just because it was fitting for the strawberry theme, but I am excited to use the other 2 as well. They do come in liner bottles, so they are meant to do like small details. They aren't meant for covering a whole nail per se, but you might be able to, I'm not sure. They are a interesting consistency. It's like both thick and thin at the same time, and they are a jelly, so they are perfect for doing like rosy cheeks and things like that. I use them here to make a little cat paw print. I thought it'd be super cute to have like a 3D paw print that would change colors. So I just pile on 5 dots, 1 in the center, and then 4 for the little toes. And you can already see the color here when it's cold because we keep our house pretty cold. Here's what it looks like though when it's warmed up. Pretty clear, though not crystal clear, I would say. And now it's time for the Mofusans. So I'm using the Chris Clays again in the red and the white. And I'm just taking the red and kind of making my general shape on a nail form on a gel bottle. That way I have the curved back of the charm, but I tend to not sculpt directly on the nail until I have the general shape ready to go. That way I can tweak it as much as I want and not disturb the art underneath. I did want to kind of like carve out the center where the face would be, just so it looks like it is embedded into the charm. So I'm shaping around the edges with a brush just wet with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol. And I'm always double checking the size to make sure it's going to fit on the nail like I want. I decided that it needed to be a little together really nicely. I've done this before with gel pens, but you can also use a dotting tool in your paint. And then last minute I decided to give Mofusan some rosy cheeks with that color changing gel as well. And that 3D design is finally finished. Now on to stickers. So my suggestion is when you're using stickers, use some sort of really sticky base or transfer gel underneath. It's just going to help you get a really nice flat sticker application. So I paint that on and I fully cure it without wiping any tacky layer or anything. I just put the stickers directly on that cured layer. Now the first stickers that I apply are on the middle finger, but honestly, you can't even see them at the end. I thought it'd be cute to do kind of like double airbrush look with these little airbrush hearts, but again, you can barely see them, so this was pretty unnecessary, but I still wanted to include it to show you how nicely stickers apply to a sticky base layer. You get a really seamless finish. And then I'm taking the little Mofusan stickers and I'm applying those. One goes on the stamp nail. These tweezers are nice because they have like a little rubber end to them, which is really good for smoothing out those stickers and getting the edges to lay nice and flush to the nail. The only thing that I wished was that these stickers were a little bit higher quality. You can see